Good evening, everyone. Very exciting. First of our series tonight. Lovely. Let me introduce myself. I'm Catherine Richmond. For the last 13 years, I've studied where do we go when we pass from this world. I'm very excited tonight to have the interaction of asking lots of other questions. So good evening. Thank you for joining us. I can see Honor and lovely people coming up here. Beautiful. So please ask me lots of questions tonight. It's my pleasure. I've spent $35,000 on studying the afterlife. I'm studying the soul's growth. I'm excited about sharing what I know and answering any questions. So it's an absolute honour to represent the spirit world tonight. Sadly, in Australia, we have no codes of ethics or governing body, rules, regulations. So there's a lot of mistruths being spread. And no disrespect to anyone that does it. It's just lack of information and lack of education and lack of training. So I'm excited to go forth tonight and answer lots and lots of questions. So, please send your little emojis up, heart, like us as you like, across the screen for us to see. And we'll iron out any little bugs. It's the first of a series. There's always going to be no charge because I just want to represent the spirit world too. Bring forth what we all can share. We're going to be doing a little books of books that are out in the market that I've read that are going to help a lot of people. So that's wonderful. So we can get straight amongst it if you like, and understanding lots of questions. So the basics of everything is the soul cannot die for the life of us. So you cannot die. So what happens is your soul is formless. We are an aspect of a higher creator. And our loved ones are never stranded. So your soul comes from this body and then it will leave and it will go to the etheric veil, which often people will refer to as heaven, life between life worlds. It's all the same place. So an aspect of you your soul stays with your group and an aspect will return to your creator. So that's why we are able to communicate. So there's no strandings. No one's ever stranded here because, of course, there is something higher and larger to us, and it's formless, but it'll appear as your education level is. So if you've studied your spirituality and really wanting to understand about the soul of what the higher creator, the being is, you might call it all different names. So it's often referred to as Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, Source, Universe, God. It's all the same thing. It's wonderful. Every time the earth's in trouble, it sends down a lovely ambassador to the earth to bring light and love and kindness to us. So that's the basics of it. So you can't die for the life of us. You just get a new body. If we listen to the Buddhists, they talk about that we can reincarnate straight away. But an aspect of your soul will stay with your group so that you are always able to. So, one of the common questions I get asked a lot straight away is how come I can't feel my loved ones around? And what happens is it's because of your level of emotional state at the time. So if you're not quietening your mind through maybe meditation, through just being peaceful and setting the intent that you want to feel your loved ones, if you're grieving, if you're stressful, it's very difficult for them to come through. So we've got to look for the signs. And the signs can be bigger than just butterflies and, people say dragonflies and rainbows. They can be a lot bigger. So depending on what's going on in your life, they're able to get quite a few other souls on the other side to help come through and move things for you, make noises in the house, lovely noises. So they're not trying to frighten you. They just want to know that you're there. They're able to start radios up, turn radios, electrical appliances off and on, kettles is a common one, doors, showers, creaking back and forth. It's often them. Clocks, people say the electric clock will do funny things. It's all your loved ones because they're trying to get your attention. So the basis of it is we are eternal, we go on and on and on. And your loved ones, an aspect of them is always with you. So it's just about us learning a new language. So it's the language of their frequency and how do we hear them, how do we communicate with them better. So I truly believe that everyone has that ability. I don't think that I'm particularly special at all. I think that we all can feel the loved ones around. So it's about training your mind, quietening it through a few little breathing techniques, which is super easy to ask for proof so that they're there. So we'll get amongst some questions straight away. Things. So what questions have we got set up? Have we got some questions set up? So afterlife reading, now that's an interesting thing. So I'm not here to market myself tonight, Ava, so thank you for that question. I'm here to answer anything technical that we've had questions for, but I help people on their life path. So I study intuitively how do we connect with your source, whatever you believe your source is, so that you are on your life path. And everyone says, what is our life path? It's to be loved. So, I'm not here to market myself, Ava, but thank you for that. But yes, I can help you if you need off air for another time. What else have we got? Okay, good. That's an excellent question. Thank you, Olga, for asking. So it's really quite expansive of what your loved ones can do for you, depending on your grieving level. So I often get contacted from someone that's just tragically lost someone, and it's been random how they found me. Yesterday morning, a week ago, a lady has just lost her son tragically in a car accident in the Sydney tunnel. And what happened was yesterday morning, her Facebook started to spin over and my name came up. Now, I'm not her friend. And she said it came up twice in half an hour. So she had to search, who am I? And then she said she found out that I'm a medium, which really shocked her. So, they're able to do a lot when they get together and their intent of trying to help you. So they know our life path. So we do have a karmic life path of things that we must experience. So they're able to know that knowledge. So the signs can be quite expansive, from simple little moving small animals around. Now they're not the animals, obviously. They are able to, manipulate butterflies and dragonflies is very common. People will tell me your favorite bird. A lot of people will say, you're not going to believe this bird kept doing certain things since my loved one's passed and they'd never done it before. Kookaburras are very common. A lot of people contact me about that. Willy wagtails all of a sudden hanging around them. And of course, electrical appliances are a lot easier for them as well, because they are in that frequency now. So kettles is common, TV going off and on by itself, lights flickering when people are walking in the house and making different noises. They're the most common. Doorbells. Doorbells is a popular one too. People will say all of a sudden the doorbell will go off. Smoke detectors. I get that a lot, where people will say, you're not going to believe what my smoke detector's been doing. And they've come out and everything's fine. So it's just a matter of they want to show you that we do not die. So we've been sold a lot of mistruths, and Olga and I are of similar age, and we were told that, when people passed, they went to heaven if they were good, and if not, they went to elsewhere. That's not true. For the second time, I've had 2 near-death experiences, and when I crossed, there is none of that. So there is nothing negative there. And I do study hypnotherapy, and I asked about that. Now, what is with that is I regress people past lives. So that interests me a lot, because it adds to my work of where the soul goes. So there is no death. All it is the soul is continually going back to source, which we are an aspect of. So Olga and I, again, were taught that the external source that we refer to as creator or divine or God was external, but it's actually a massive source that we are an aspect of. So we are made in the image of it, and we have all the capabilities of that. So I recommend to everyone, please sit for 5 minutes or so a day minimum and try and connect with whatever you think your source is. Say to it, please come to me, help me, join with me, help me, be on my life path. The big thing I always ask is ask it to heal you. We heal ourselves, and we can prove that our words create our disharmony, and of course anything that we're ingesting, and our thoughts. So it's about aligning ourselves with our creator and saying to it, help me be on my life path, help me be full of love and compassion, and push me in that path of why I'm here. We've got another question. Good.
Sharon had a good question. She says, when does the soul leave the body? Is it
Oh,
always at the moment of death?
this is such a good question, so I'll just reiterate that one again. So Sharon's asked an excellent question. She wants to know, when does the soul leave the body? Now this is really interesting. I was a palliative care nurse, and we would talk about that we could see the soul starting to separate previous to someone passing, yet they were in good health. So they were not in palliative care, they were actually just in the standard care system. So when I started to study it more, there seems to be evidence come through that approximately 8 days prior, whether it be disease, be taking of one's life, or an accident, the soul is starting to leave. It has a calling and it knows when it's going home. And the amount of people I bring through, and I'll say to the sitter in front of me that the person knew they were leaving so many days before, they had become in disharmony, their personality had changed, and the people always say yes. So, there's things here we're not being taught. There is a calling when our soul must start to leave. Now, in horrific accidents, the soul is above the body. So often when I'm doing my mediumship, I will say that my soul had left the body prior to me being resuscitated. And they might say, I might say to them that I know the ambulance people, the first aid people have brought me back, but I'm above my body and I'm observing it. And I know in big accidents that because of that pain level, your body now we no longer register that. So we leave the body and we become the observer. So that's really a powerful question you've asked. So the body is separating at the moment it knows that it's to leave, and it's prior to anything that happens, even taking of one's life. So everything is set up prior to our incarnation of coming here. So it's a lot more complex than what we've been taught, and so there's nothing random happening. We've always got to remember now there's something larger watching us, and if it wants anything to be different, it would step in and make it different. Excellent question. What else we got?
We've got another question. It says, is it possible to tell if someone has been here before? My son, now 11, gives me the feeling he's an old soul and
Oh,
has been here
excellent
before.
question. So I'm just going to say that one again. So we've been asked a question, is it possible to tell that the soul of a person has been here before? So what happens is you've got to take it back a little bit further. We are actually formless. So we're not like we're being taught that, when we pass, we get this gorgeous set of angel wings and we flip over here to the other side. That's not real. So the reality is that we are this intense, amazing, loving energy, which is here, which is an aspect of something bigger. So everyone has been here in another incarnation, and an aspect has been with our group before. But if we've had an intense relationship in another incarnation, we'll have that familiarity, the soul knowing, the feeling of doing that. And truly, the only way is through a regression that I know of. And again, in Australia, we have people doing past life readings. I don't do them because you cannot substantiate the claims. I only like it when I regress someone and hypnotize them, and they will say to me, I have been this previous, and this is my relationship with someone, and this is real. So when people tell me that, that's what I want. I'm very skeptical about everything, and I only want really good proof. So, to go across your question again, without really, if you've got this familiarity feeling about them, you would just suspect that you probably have been with the soul before. But, sadly, people will give you a reading and say, he's an old soul, you're an old soul. We can't substantiate that. Another claim that's often said is that you're an old soul, you don't have to come back. Again, that's not reality. Because of our evolution, and something could happen towards the end of our life, we're off path, of course we're going to come back to help our group here, and if it means that we will represent that higher being to bring love and kindness, we'd be back in a flash. So we can't substantiate claims, do souls stop coming? We can't substantiate claims, how many incarnations has someone had? Someone asked me the question the other day, what was my first incarnation? Can't prove it. I know of some of them, but you can't prove any of that. So I wouldn't claim of any incarnations. So that's a really good question to ask someone. So yeah, so the big things is we do not have a twin flame here on earth. We do not have a soulmate here on earth. It's a new age term that's gone trendy. What happens is before you come from this incarnation, when I've done regressions, people will say I'm with this intense energy, and through their mind, they're being placed of certain contracts that they need to do. And what has to happen is we align with those souls, we approach them, and sometimes those souls don't want to do it. If it's a harsh contract where they think they're going to have to treat you quite harshly, often they'll say, I'm not coming. So you have to do the hard sell and say, look, karmically, if you do this for me, I get to ascend, I get to clear my karma, and we move from here and to be, I have a peaceful, loving life, and I've fixed some things that I haven't misunderstood. So yeah, that's really important question. So we can't actually say in factually that you've had a relationship only if I regress either one or someone, a hypnotherapist, a registered one, hypnotizes you and you see it. Sometimes your creator will allow you to see it in a dream, then it's real too. Because if you have emotions, if you wake up hot and sweaty and feeling, wow, that was intense, it's real. Good question. What else we got?
That leads us on to Susan's question, actually. Do we always come back?
Excellent question. Okay, Susan. So Susan's asked, do we always come back? Now, what we can prove is we are from the one cell. So I am Susan, Susan is me, but she is also her creator, but she is also the most challenging person that she's ever had in her life. She's an aspect of that as well. So we can't prove how many incarnations anyone has, and it's always a negotiation contract when you leave this earth. Now, the biggest thing I learnt, which was just a huge thing for me, is there is no such thing as alien beings on this earth. It is us. So we are able to have an experience wherever we need to for our involvement on our spiritual path. So we can be those people, and of course they're going to come here to check to see if we're okay. So I've done so many regressions where people will say, I'm not from this world. This is my first time here. And that's just been huge. I remember regressing a doctor about a year ago, and she'd never been to Earth before. And it was just to listen to her speak. She said, I'm from the panel that you would say when you leave this Earth, that you come to see me and the other people on the panel. And we assess how you went on your contract. And she said, I've been quite harsh on people. I say to them, it was an easy contract. Why couldn't you get it right? And I was like shocked listening to her. And she said, I've said to the panel, I'll go down because the panel have suggested you need to go down to Earth to see how challenging it can be for them before you keep judging them. She said to the panel, it can't be that hard. Let me have a go. And she is here for the first time. And it was just life-changing to listen to her, and she's saying what she said afterwards. And she was as shocked as I was. So it was absolutely an honour to hear her work and what she's about to do. And she said she's actually been bringing it back into her work at the moment, which has been a problem because as head of a hospital, she would say to the people, why can't you get this right? It's a simple task I've given you. And she said, I realise now I've been going about it wrong. So that's excellent. What else have you got?
We've got another question from Sharon. She wants to know if there is such thing as an earthbound spirit.
Excellent, excellent. So the question's been asked, do we have an earthbound spirit? So from what I can find and see, we can have an aspect of a feeling of the emotions of what that's happened. So, and we all can do this, okay? So I truly think that anyone can do medium or psychic work if they try. It's your intention. If you say, I'm going to have a go at this, it'll work. But what happens is, if there's trauma with someone's passing, they're going to have trauma in their aspect of their soul. So we can all feel them when they're here. And as mediums, I study physical mediumship, which is a very rare form of mediumship, and I'm blessed to have the most amazing group that have been with me for 9 years with some phenomenal physical mediums. Now, what we've found is when we start to work more physically, all the people have an imprint when they pass, no matter if you've died from cancer, taking one life, one's life, they've been murdered, however they've passed, there's an emanation of a vibration that goes through their soul. Now, they're not stranded, but when we ask them to blend with us to prove to a sitter or a client they're here, we feel exactly that. So, very sensitive people, so everyone's empathic. I don't believe anyone's more gifted that they're extremely empathic. It's just your sensitivity level, often to do with diet and meditation and the way you quieten your mind. The more you study those things, the better you can be. So we can all feel an aspect of someone. We've been to a house where it feels like there's someone there because everyone's loved ones are still walking through. So wherever you go, all life in the etheric world is still walking through you. So often people will say to me, it feels like I've just had a heart attack. And you'll say to them, has your dad just passed? And they'll say yes. And he passed from a heart attack? And they'll say yes. He just walked through you. That's all it is. So I truly don't think, because I do truly believe, I believe I have met that higher energy, that anything is stuck here on earth. So a lot of people will dispute that, and that's their opinion. And I don't want to get into any heated discussions because I don't want to be the target of that. But from my studies, I know that that higher aspect comes from love and that people must have incarnations in a certain way. So we do have to have trauma here on this earth because of who our soul has been. I never believed that until I had my first regression and I saw that I was a male German officer. That changed my life. Because then I saw why certain things repetitively were happening into my life, which I thought was bad karma. It's not. It was just who I'd been. I needed to feel those experiences myself because I'd done it to other people. So I hope that answers the question. There's an aspect of people's souls always walking around. Plus, you've got a combination of your people walking through you as well. So it will feel different. Now, if you love scary movies and if your crowd hangs around talking about stuff like that, it'll actually exacerbate those feelings. So if you can try and keep it as real as you can, I try and keep everything scientific and try and disprove a lot of things. So we try and keep it that way. So if there was a murder scene and you walked through it, you would feel an aspect of them, but no one is stranded. Okay? So sadly, I do not believe anyone needs helping over. And I do deal with a lot of people, and I had one recently where a young lady had paid $200 to a medium because she was told her 5-year-old daughter, who died tragically, was stranded here on earth. And the medium said, you need to give me money to help her cross over. And it broke my heart to hear it because I was able to bring the girl through no worries at all and talk to her about the tattoo that she'd had painted of the done on her back recently of the unicorn and how she'd been buried with her unicorn. So, you know, if she was stranded, who am I communicating with? So I truly do not believe that could happen. So excellent questions.
I've got one here from Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
She said, are all of deceased relatives with us all of the time, or just the most recently deceased?
That's an excellent question. So going across it, are all our relatives who have passed with us or just the recent ones? So this is a study I love with a passion because recently I've been bringing through people that have been past 50 years. Now, how could we do that? So it's a matter of the necessity of the communication. So do they need to come through? And because I study evidential, I will not look at my sitter. And that's why I love, you know, having no facial contact with someone, because then I cannot be drawing it from body language. I cannot be taking it psychically from your energy because everything about your people are there. So to answer that clearly again, they're all available at all time. But here's the kicker. You ready for this? We could have an incarnation back. And I remember doing a regression from a lovely man. And as he came in, I said, wow, this is so powerful. It straight away feels like your dad is here with you. And he said he only died. Actually, he said he died before I was born. My mum was pregnant. And I said, wow, it's just so powerful. And I said, you've got his name, you've got his watch, all these things. And he said, yes, average, yes, whatever, not interested. I did this regression, and then he saw that he was his father. And he said, how could that be? And he said, the things that he named about himself, he's checked with his mother, and it's real. So we can be an aspect of that person. So there's things that we are not allowed to know yet, but we're not this soul that comes from here, goes over there, flips away, goes away. We're not. We return an aspect. So it's like the soul has this ability that an aspect will stay with you always so that you know that you're loved. But we could be communicating, we could be sitting here doing mediumship for you, and also, which I've just done. I did mediumship for a lady in Australia, and I had her mum on the same call, and she was in Scotland. And I said, your husband's just walked behind you and flipped over a photo. And she said, it's just fallen to the floor. But at the same time, the daughter was getting something happening in her house. How could he do that? So, it's a lot more extensive than anyone's ever been allowed to know. So no one has got scientifically proof. So we've got this ability to be able to move in many places at once and be in more dimensions. So it's a lot bigger than anyone has ever studied or been able to prove. So there is no pecking order. If there's an urgency for someone that's passed 50 years ago to come through, they will. You know, and what we're proving now is people can be past a day, an hour, and come through very clearly. But it's your grieving level that will stop how you feel them, how the medium communicates with them, and that goes with it as well. So really good question.
We've got another good one here, and it's by Deborah. She said, do the people passed over live in a parallel plane? Where are they and what are they doing?
That's an excellent question. So we've been asked by lovely Deborah, do people live in a parallel plane? Now, sadly, there seems to be something going around where people will say there's different levels. Now, I'm going to come from the theory I cannot substantiate that. I've passed over twice. I've attempted my life twice, previous to I was 25, and I've never found that plane. I've never done a regression in the 2000 regressions I've done where people will say I'm in a different plane of experience. It seems to be the etheric veil is just here. So people will say to me, oh, I've been to a medium and they couldn't bring someone through because they're on level 5. I'll say, I don't get that. Let me just get that person for you and prove that they're here. So it's about training and how much knowledge you're prepared to, go, and being prepared to be wrong as well. A lot of mediums don't want to be wrong. So I have never found different levels. Sadly, one of the people I was following, and I did love her work, she talks about different levels as well. I can't prove that. I've not had any experience. So I'm thinking that the whatever this creator is giving us new knowledge, that it's not confined to levels. It's more comprehensive than what we think, but we've got to keep it simple. So they don't go away to different levels. We are always able to communicate with them ourselves on a personal level and through a medium, depending on their training. Now, if I can just jump into another question, if it hasn't been asked yet, and my beautiful assistant will tell me. But people say to me all the time, what about my guides? Are my loved ones now my guides? And who are my guides? Now, what I find is that your guides are formless. But if you're a needy person and you're not tending to work on your spiritual self and you need a Buddha person to come through, you're going to have a Buddhist guide. If you think you're an American Indian one, great for you. If you've been to a medium and they're starting to tell you your guides, could be psychic. So what I've found is I can never prove a guide. I could prove every single one of your loved ones because I work super hard to do that and there's no ego there. I could be wrong, but I cannot prove guides. I cannot. And I've never done a regression where someone says I'm with my guides. They'll say I'm with my loved ones. They'll name them. So they're real. So it's up to, so people say to me, oh, when I want to feel comforted, I ask my guides to come through. I'll say, actually, try and go back to your source, creator, whatever you think that is to you. Try and feel the comfort of that and ask your loved ones to step close. They're working on their evolution. So they're still going to be there, but they've got to work on their next incarnation as well, because they don't just fly around waiting for us. They're working all the time on them, but they're always, an aspect of them is with us because we are formless. So yeah.
Just to add to what you were saying, it's kind of like saying your loved ones are your guides, the ones
No. So I've not ever been able to prove in any regression that I've done, because I'm so skeptical. I really am, because I just hear so much things in the industry that we can't substantiate. So I've never had anyone come through and say, or pass over and says, I'm with the person and they're my guide. Or I've done a regression where they'll say, I'm with my guide. It's either they'll say, I'm with the higher creator, and they'll give it some form of name, or they'll name loved ones. So yeah, they're all formless, and they evolve as you do. So if you need to be calling them something, they're going to do it for you.
Jessica wants to know if she wears her grandmother's ring during difficult times,
Yep.
will it connect them and give her strength to get through?
That's a beautiful question, isn't it? I love that question. So we've been asked, if I wear an item of my loved ones, will that give me strength? It's a mindset, and if you need that, absolutely. But you've just got to remember now, if you choose to meditate, if you asked her to show you a sign, she doesn't need that ring. She doesn't need that piece of crockery. She'll love that you're doing that, absolutely. And that comes up in so many readings. And it comes up beautifully where people have given away something that meant a lot. And I did a reading last week where the mother had just given away her rings that she received off her mother to her kids and her sister-in-law. And her mother came through to say that, I'm so proud of you that you did that for me, to give away those things. That was all I had in my estate, but you chose to give that away. And she's still there. So it's comforting for you because it's a vibration. She wore it. So you've got the aesthetic of every time you look at it, it'll remind you of you. So absolutely, if you love keeping those things around, please do so. But the big thing is, now this is important, if you lose anything that your loved ones have given you, or if it's stolen, I've done a lot of mediumship lately where valuable items, rings, jewellery, huge things have been stolen, and the person sitting across from me is broken. And the person's come through to say it's okay that this was stolen. And they'll say, oh my God, they know. Yes, it doesn't matter. We've got to trust whoever gets it will have love and kindness in their life. They're not the essence of that jewellery. They are here with you in your heart if you choose to listen to them. So it's all about, do you wish to change your breath work, change your intention, meditate on them, meditate on your creator to feel them. So please, if you wish to wear their jewelry, lovely, but if you no longer can because of sizing's often a problem, don't worry about it. Or if you want to give it away to one of the kids or a relic, you've still got them there and you can ask for proof. Good question.
We've got another question from Luke. He says, will developing mediumship bring them more aware of the source? Will it make them see with more clarity?
Oh, that's huge. I love that question, Luke. So, my interpretation of what you're asking is, will, if we develop mediumship, give us more connection to source? Actually, it's funny. It depends on your intent. So I've met many mediums who are not spiritual. Absolutely. Yet you think learning mediumship, that's a spiritual thing, but it's not. So many mediums I've trained with over the years are far from spiritual. They are far from that creator. They are negative. They are angry at the world. They do not believe there's a higher energy, but they believe they can connect with the other world. So, Luke, if you want to study mediumship, please use the creator as your source. And whatever you want to call it, it won't care. Call it Fred, call it anything. It would love to work with you. So if you sit with it daily and say, please help me, train me, what are you to me? And what your family thinks of it might be different. Don't care. You learn what it is to you. So that's an excellent question. I found when I connected to it, it changed my life. That's what became easy for me to be a medium. So people say, are they born gifted? No, I was not. I was a normal mum, 3 kids, been through a lot of heartache and tragedies, attempted my life twice, didn't want to be here anymore. And it just got to the crunch. I hit 42 years old and I thought, attempt one more time to leave here. And it came into my life. And it said, you need to see there's a lot more than what we're doing. And you need to tell people about it, whatever you want to call it. Let them call it anything, but connect to it. Excellent question, Luke. Find out what it is to you. It may change as you work on yourself, but it will accelerate your mediumship through the roof. Good question.
Just back onto what Jessica said about the ring, she's just commented and said it was actually stolen and she's just got it back after 5 years.
Oh, look, now this is a good thing. I'm glad you brought this up. I'm so excited. So, very important. Now, do you remember what I said? And it's funny because I've just done so many mediumship where things have been stolen. How funny I would refer to this. Now, Jessica, what you've got to remember, love, is that it doesn't matter who stole it, okay? It's whoever your loved ones are knows where it was. It was with love that it was there. It doesn't matter what they did. It doesn't matter if they melted it down. I've just done one recently where they'd recovered it and it was melted down. Doesn't matter. It's still the original intent of who owned it and that you were to get it back with love. And it's a miracle itself from your people to say, I want you to have it back. So, I love this little journey. It's like that little gnome that goes on that journey. If that little ring could talk, where could it have been? And you know how your loved ones moved people to make sure they got it back. What a wonderful story. So please don't think that it's got anything negative or that you've got to cleanse it or heal it or do anything. It's got the divine love of your people that owned it, your loved ones. Beautiful story.
So Sharon's asked a good question. Do past or loved ones experience the afterlife differently to us due to beliefs while living?
Oh, yes. This is such a good one. I had to do two powerful mediumships this morning and instantly one was yesterday morning when I woke up, and it was just huge. So absolutely, because so many people don't believe in the afterlife. So when they get across to the other side and then they see, wow, this is real. So they don't view us with eyes anymore. They view us through vibrations. So all the skeptical ones that were so against and negative and naysayers, when they come through, it's a hoot. It really is, because they will show you, I truly do not believe in what you do, but I'm eating humble pie here now. I need to actually use you to tell my loved ones who are sitting across from you that it's real. And it's the stuff they come out with is just breaks me up. It really does, because I seem to get the hardest ones that really didn't believe it. And I brought to a baker yesterday in the morning, and they didn't even have an appointment. And he's just passed tragically in a horrific accident, and he's only young, and it was just huge what happened. So, and then his sister made an appointment. I don't know, so I don't know anyone that comes in. I ask everyone, don't tell me why you're here. And he's coming again for her with different information, and again, an absolute skeptic about what I do. And didn't he tell her? And she just laughed and laughed because he was so against what I do. So that's a good thing. They don't go anywhere different. So if that's what you're asking, there's no extra spaces, levels, purgatory, none of that's real. And it brings me to a really two sad cases that I've just done recently, where I had a most beautiful girl come, about 28 years old, absolutely broken. Again, I asked everyone not to tell me what they're here for. As soon as she sat down, I said, love, I've got your dad here. I know he's passed 3 weeks ago, but there's been a lot of heartache around his passing because I know that you had problems with the church. And I said, I know that I'm a minister for the church, and I know that you have problems with the coroner because I take my life. And she was just crying and crying. So I had to console her and say, look, if you want me to go on. And she said, please do so. And so what had happened with her, her father had taken his life as a minister of the church, and the church would not bury him because they said that he was bringing bad karma, bad disrepute to the church. And so unless the coroner would change the findings to be open, the parishioners weren't allowed to attend because they said he would be in purgatory. Now, I don't talk to purgatory. He was here and he was so sorry for what had happened. He'd been put on medication. He'd mixed his medication on the day. He was a mess. Okay, he'd been going through some depression and anxiety because of his big church that he was going through, and he wasn't in alignment with what they wanted. So, not true. He wasn't anywhere else. He was right here with her. The things that he said, he talked about his dogs were with him on the day of his passing. He was sorry for what had happened to his wife. He was sorry for having to approach the coroner and have the findings changed. Huge. So really good question.
Before I dive into another question, just a reminder that we're not doing readings online.
Yes. So we just, yeah, just Q&A, please. I'm not here to market myself. I'm truly not. It's not about me tonight at all. I've just got so much passion. It's just oozes that I just can't wait to share what I've studied through the regressions, through the, bringing through people from the other life. And I just hear every day broken people that are told mistruths or misguided things from the internet, because you've got movies, you've got hearsay, gossip, uneducated people who don't wish to be educated. I've recently got into a sad situation that someone who's known me for probably 12 years, who has not continued their studies with understanding afterlife, as in past lives, has just attacked my work and said that it's not about love. It's not about, going back to source. And I thought, wow, 13 years of all these regressions I've done, they've never done one. And publicly, in an open forum, they've attacked me. And that was really sad, because they're not coming from a love space. So everything is about love, everything. So the worst event you want to try and tell me that's happened with someone else, you don't know your past lives. You never will know your past lives. No one can tell you your past lives. Everyone has another soul contract. So you've got to look at, could you owe that soul? Absolutely, because of who you are. So you'll only finish this life if you see them with love and compassion. So please never say the word forgiveness, okay? Because then you're coming from judgment that you are better than someone else. No, you do not know who you are. You never will. You may know a few past lives, great. But you are always being watched to see if you will be the one coming from love and compassion. You're not a doormat, but you can send love and compassion, healing to that person, okay, and accept that maybe it was karma, you're paid, you step through. Good questions.
Now I would like to know, can a soul be angry, sad, or show these
Oh,
emotions to us?
so good, so good. I get this so much, where someone will come for a reading and they'll say, you won't be able to bring my people through. And I'll say, why? And I'll say, I've been to a medium, and they'll say that the medium has said that the people don't like them anymore and is not talking to them, or they'd had a fight before they passed and they don't wish to. Right. Okay. So when we bring them through, if anything, they will apologise for a problem that they've had previous, and they'll name what the problem is. But what we will do is feel for a second that there was an anger issue. Okay. Like today, for instance, when I did the mediumship for the young man that came through, he was apologetic to his sister because he hadn't spoken to her for a few weeks before, but totally took ownership for his emotions and why he carried on. So it's not true that people will go across to the other world angry at you and don't want to speak to you. It will be you're not feeling them because you're not coming from that space. You haven't meditated, you're not setting that frequency. And if a psychic or a medium is telling you they don't wish to speak to you, it will be their training. And it will be that the person who's trying to communicate with them doesn't wish to communicate with that person. So it's about us sending the love to that person to get them to like us, to communicate. So good question. So because we all go back to love, that's all it is. We are only doing certain things here because of karma. But if we get mixed up in prescription drugs, illegal drugs, or alcohol, we fall off our path. Okay, and then they'll come through on the other side to try and make it up to us. So that's a good question.
Another question is, if someone is interested in all things spiritual, um, is it because there is something special about them?
I love it. I love it. So what is happening is there's been a shift in the world. So this year particularly, COVID had to happen because people are asking, how do I be more loving and kind? How do I stop the impact on the earth that we've done? How do I transition to my emanation? So we are cells, molecules, and atoms of gas, and we vibrate. So we pick up everywhere we go. We're scanning through the bottom of our belly button our life. So our perceptions of everything that's going on, we absorb that. So it's really important that you start to meditate, you start to push back love and healing to other people, because you're just reading them. You're just reading them. So it's really important that. So what was the end of that question? Yeah. So very good. So let me just explain why she's looking up that question. So COVID had to happen because that way we'll stop and we'll have 2020 vision after this. So it's really important that we are on a spiritual path. So it was about a spiritual path. So the ultimate of our goal is to be on the spiritual path. And I'm finding that at the moment we've got the most younger people here. You'll find that older people, when they hit their 40s, start to search for, why am I on earth? Why am I here? Now, also, their past lives will have started to vibrate through them. So the soul knows certain things in certain relationships that we've got to get through before you pass. So all of that will be bottling up and starting to come through. And we've been blessed with having very evolved spiritual beings. So these kids that are come down now, I don't name them any sort of special names that people tend to do that. They're not, as far as I'm concerned. They're here to bring light and love to us and make us wake up that it is a spiritual path is the answer. So please, everyone get interested in spiritual things. Keep it real, though. Keep it real. Keep it that you can prove these things. Don't go and spend money on getting aura readings. We can change our aura by our thoughts. You can project negative thoughts, the aura colors will change. Happy thoughts, the aura colors will change. Keep it real by go off and rainforests and meditation retreats. Do those sorts of things. Learn chanting. Why does chanting of a certain name change our life? Why does eating more of a high vibrational nutritional diet change how we feel? Get into those spiritual things. Have that sort of experience.
Gail would like to know if you're going to do Sunday afternoon services again.
Oh, what a beautiful question. A beautiful question. So I've been asked if we'll do Sunday services again. So I used to be a spiritual minister, and it was one of my passions, but it's so much work on my family because I'm the one that's really I just loved it. I really, truly did. So it did take a lot out of my family to do that and, to present all those things. So, what I would love to do is more of live feeds where no one has to pay any money for anything, and we can do meditation. We can set that up, have a meditation. We could do it on a Sunday evening or something. We could sort that out, and we could do a little service online all for free. But it's all about, keeping everything real and simple for people. I'm not about money. I live in a rented house. I don't ask for people for a lot of money for anything because I'll die with nothing, but it's what I've left on my legacy on this earth. So I really want to make a difference. And anything I know, I want you to have. And if you can tell someone else and it changes their life and your life, and we're full of love and happiness, that would be amazing.
One of the lovely people has just said that they've been told that they have some kind of energy holding them back from moving forward.
Oh, this is good.
That could be true. It's not something that they think about every day. They just try to live it as it comes.
Okay, so I get this so much. It's so sad. Someone will be told that they've had a reading, or an avid psychic or a medium has said that you've got hooks in you, you've got a crack in your energy, a crack in your aura, that you've got something hanging you back. No, you haven't. If anything, they're just picking up. It could be, I won't go into what I think they're misreading, but if you're starting to feel a little bit sluggish and disconnected yourself, simple techniques, okay? Connect with your source. And it's not your loved ones, it's that higher energy. Sit with it every day and say to it, please heal me. Then look at yourself and make sure if you're having a couple of cups of coffee a day, you're going to be all over the shop. If you're using a microwave, it changes the molecular structure of you. So you'll be in disharmony, disarray. Okay, so it's about, sending out your gratitude, your prayer, your affirmations to whatever you think that is. Write positive statements of what you want to be because your brain wants to make that happen. So I'll use this as a, for instance, if I've been told I have something holding me back, my brain wants to make that true because it heard holding me back. Because your brain's amazing, it just wants to make you happy. So if you said, I love my life, I go forward when I need to, I'm connected to my source, guess what? You just rerouted everything. There you go. So it's about the words that you say, the words you write is your reality. Okay? So it's so powerful. And please do not listen to what other people say. If there's negative words, send them love and blessings. Write your own. There's something called Mind Valley that I love. It's free on YouTube. I'd love to do something similar where we positive statements, positive things, little techniques to change your life. If you go onto my YouTube channel, we have 30 meditations, tutorials, all free. To just, if you started to listen to them as a hypnotherapist, the brain becomes rerouted. so that there's no way you could have anything negative holding you back, because of the positive statements throughout. You come out going, what just happened? A big shift. What else?
There's no more questions at this time, but
Mm.
maybe you'd like to cover some books.
Lovely. Yes, I would. And it's perfect timing because we are coming up close. How wonderful was that? So, my wonderful assistant has reminded me that we need to be talking about different books. So, I don't get any money for recommending any books. An author I do love is James Van Proud. He keeps it real. He tells you when he's working psychically. So, if anyone's looking at your energy, looking at your aura, they're working psychically. And yes, we can bring through anyone that's passed over looking at you, but it doesn't prove life after death communication. We're getting it from your aura. We feed off your body language. So, so all our students are trained that we do not stare at you when we're doing readings. That one's Reaching for Heaven, one of my favourites. I love James Van Proud. He's a beautiful man. John Edwards, Crossing Over, very famous man. Does lots of group readings. Excellent story. Very famous for him. Big ones on past lives that I ask people to please get into. The first one that changed so many people's lives was Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. Can you hear with that music there? Many Lives, Many Masters. Excellent book. He was a skeptic, didn't believe in past lives. Christian gentleman, thought he'd dispute it, backfires. Everything's real. Same Soul, Many Bodies. Huge seller because he documented cases of all the regressions he did. James Van Pratt, Healing Grief. So you've got to remember now, if you believe your loved ones are dead, that's a heavy, heavy grief. Okay? If you think, I know they're here in the other world, which is right in front of me, how do I learn to choose to listen to them? So it's about changing your frequency. We study physical mediumship here, so we know that they have the ability to step through us, so that it can transpose anyone. So you might be shopping and all of a sudden see your loved one over the top of someone else. When they walk through them, they are able to do that. So you're not losing your mind. It is them showing you I am there, because it's easy for them to go over that person's body. So it's been lovely. I'm just looking at that time. Is there anything else there you think that we should discuss as we go? So let me just recover our YouTube channel, all free, wonderful meditations, talks on how to heal yourself. Very big advocate on we heal ourselves. Yeah. Oh, terrific, terrific. I have put a free tutorial up there. So people say to me, okay, basic techniques to have a perfect life, what would you do? Okay, pray to whatever you think that is. Okay, not your loved ones, something bigger. Send love and healing to everyone you meet. If you think that they're negative or sending you different vibrations, send them love and healing back. Don't get into their story. See, everything is a movie, okay? Everything is transitory. So everything is. So no story that anyone wants to tell me of someone hurting them or a tragic event they've been through is real. You're a highly paid actress or actor, okay? And you have been paid up to date. Today's the first day we're going to shift. You're now the director for where you want to go. So work it, write down your affirmations, study how do I get it, do little gentle exercises, do some gentle sit-up yoga on YouTube. Shift your energy to create the life that you want to leave, the legacy that you want to leave. We've got a low battery coming up. Yeah. So great questions. The John Holland cards. So yeah, please, have a look at those cards. You can just there's a tutorial, a 2-minute tutorial on them. I don't get a commission off him, but I just wanted something that we could talk to the creator. So you can just hold those cards. You can't do them wrong. You can buy them at QBD Bookshop, eBay online. They're $25. And we want proof that that is watching us. And they're perfect proof, because you just ask questions and it answers straight away through the cards. So please do your affirmations, positive statements. You are what you say, you are what you eat. So, if you feel like you're sadness and gloom and doom, if you're microwaving, it'll be what you're eating, okay? Your body wants to reproduce its cells, so please eat high vibrational foods. Now, Olga's just asking the last question there, I think. So we're just looking at that time. We just got one last question. I think Olga's just asked something. Yeah, one question. Lovely.
My question is, children
Yes.
talking about spirits.
Yep.
How should I handle these situations?
Oh, perfect. Now, this is important. Two parts. I'm going to be quick, and I'll talk really quick because I know that you all want to go. But when we lose a child to the other world, they are still here. Now, depending on your need and want, will be how they appear to you or the medium. So some mediums might say that they've grown to be a person of this age now, but I tend to find that that soul has still at that development age, so that you know it's yours. And yesterday morning, I had to bring through two twins that had just passed. So they were still twins. They hadn't evolved and grown. They're still at that age. Now, if our wonderful kids talk about the spirit people, encourage it with love and try and ask yourself who it is. So it'll be definitely their loved ones. Until the age of 7, everyone is extremely sensitive and intuitive to the other world. So everyone will be able to tell me a story of our child in their life, talking about the family. So identify who you think it might be and tell them this will be this person, this relative who loved you very much and who's trying to show you they're around you. So it's always a rally, a friend that meant a lot to them. And sometimes, excitingly, it's often a rally that never met them. So you can identify it. And that's exciting because then that person is trying to help your family. So that's really, really exciting. So I think that's about time that we've got, and I really enjoyed, and I can't thank enough the people that have asked questions. You've helped so many other people by asking questions. It's so much, it's so beautiful to be part of this lovely night. So I do hope to do these regularly, at no charge, and please jump in, ask questions all the time. If you think there's a topic, please send me a personal message. I'm not an opinionated person. I come from no ego. It's just what I've learned. So it's been wonderful to be with you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, and I'll put the link up. Thank you.